It's about ISIS, not a virus. The new lockdown rules in South Africa have nothing to do with the virus and everything to do with ISIS. This threat to ISIS on the borders is real, and this is why the government is taking this action, but there seems to be something else going on here. When ISIS shows up, so do the Western powers. With ISIS threatening, this tells me that the government is very concerned and scared a coup or something is going to happen in this country. Now let us revisit a few dreams. I was told in the dreams, see the link below, something is going to happen in South Africa that is going to be spoken about for 5 years around the world. Why, during the lockdown and a survival rate of 95% has the government in Johannesburg been digging graves to the tune of 1.5 million of them. I am not saying the graves are for whites, but we should never under no circumstances ever underestimate communists, since communists have murdered over 100 million Europeans over the past century. Then there was a dream about South Africa being split up. I saw the country split, a new border snake through the country. Then just last week I had a vision of Portugal being sent to South Africa. There was the January message dreams showing me they will arrive in the Cape. I saw the ships fire while on the ocean, and a huge spirit of Ramaphosa as large as the mountains fades. When they come to the Cape, I saw his spirit try grab the Cape, but when they fired the shots I saw him disappear like the fog. Strange, very strange things are happening in this country, and there is a race by Western powers to take the Cape. I have pointed out there is already a British secession movement pushing for the Cape to secede. When I speak about the British, I am not talking about your average citizen, but the globalist, those Edomite Canaanites who rule their central banks and created them from the City of London. Now I heard in the interview, see the link below, they want to secede the Cape and not talk about race. Notice how the British never want to talk about race in South Africa. Of course they don't want to talk about race. All our race problems begin with them arriving in 1795. You cannot talk secession of the Cape without talking about race. Only two races have a right to live in the Cape. That is the Khoi and the Afrikaners. No Xhosa has a right to live in the Cape when they have a homeland in the Eastern Cape. The only reason they support these causes living in the Cape is to make sure the whites or coloreds can never decide their own future. It is the same old divide and conquer techniques. The Democratic Alliance is also no friend of the white man in this country. They are the worst of the worst. I am sure there are those whites lower on the pecking order in the party who don't know what and who the DA really are. The DA has been building houses for causes in the Western Cape while ignoring the housing crisis for coloreds and whites. Those causes who have a house built for them in the Western Cape by the Democratic Alliance also have a second house in their own territory in the Eastern Cape. How many whites do you know own two houses and have those houses built and paid for by Africans? None. The Democratic Alliance is the enemy of every white man. The only reason they changed their liberal attitude is because they got hammered in the last elections. Any sane colored or white person would never vote for that evil party. The same UK group promoting secession of the Cape also tells us we should consider getting celebrities and radio personalities to push this agenda of secession. You mean the same celebrities and personalities who 30 years ago called us racist and told us how amazing the new South Africa will be? So now, rather than admit failure, they come here in the disguise of helping or pretending to help the whites secede the Cape for the globalists sitting in the City of London. No, avoid this globalist secession movement. Let the people know never to allow them to speak for the white population of South Africa. They have no right to the Cape. The Cape was sold to the British without the consent of the white settlers. My ancestors were never part and parcel of the transaction between the Netherlands and Britain. My ancestors worked off their indentured servitude they owed the Dutch East Indian Company. I tell you what, since you English want to secede the Cape and then tell us whites not to talk about race, how about we elect one of our Boer leaders to go to Ireland and initiate Ireland's unification process, or get involved in Scotland's secession? They want to come to this country and talk about secession when they have not even broken away from the EU. Bunch of hypocrites. No thank you. Every time you show up here you cause racial tension. All the racial tension can and does begin with the British getting involved in South Africa. They racialized the fighting and turned it into fighting. It's like if a fat person and a thin person are having an argument and it has nothing to do with either weight issues. You step in and tell the fat person the thin person is only making those statements due to their weight or vice versa. I think we're in trouble in this country. Big things are happening behind the scenes now. jail time for wearing a mask, but farm murderers are never caught nor hunted down, but you want to jail people for this. And who owns the mask companies selling this stock? As my dream told me, what happens next in South Africa is spoken about by every nation on earth for 5 years. I don't know, but something sinister is happening. It ties in with that internet cable being cut. It ties in with soldiers being brought in. It ties in with ISIS and events playing out in Europe. South Africa is going to be a battleground. During the battleground and keeping the people occupied in the center of the country, the Cape is going to be snatched, or there is going to be an attempt to snatch it. All of this could see a new government come to power when the country is split. Sina van Rensburg mentioned that the new government would show up out of the blue. The people wouldn't know whether to cry or laugh, and that things remained the same. The WHO organization, the United Nations, the International Monetary Fund, all controlled by the former empire. They are fronts and they want this country back. ISIS showing up like this, ISIS threatening, tells me big things are planned here. This is the very end of South Africa as we know it, and the end of the ANC. Notice how all this is happening and can be directly traced back to March 2020. August 2019, the angel told me the chains come undone for the nation. I keep on coming back to this. The chains for the nation have come undone, and this is all part of the chains coming undone. The mask-wearing, hospitals, government rules are all happening and can be directly traced back to March 2020, exactly 8 months after I was told that these events would unfold in the country. Something is happening, and it has nothing to do with the virus. Where are those Cuban medical doctors? I highly doubt those are medical doctors, considering Zuma went to Cuba a month before all this happened. This virus is for South Africa. I make a bold statement. I believe there are many reasons why this virus was unleashed, and that South Africa plays a prominent role in this. Part of the dream of Turkey is fulfilled with them entering Libya like I saw. The other part of the dream not yet fulfilled is the country splitting up and Swaziland's borders being affected and disrupted. Something happens there to cause the king to be extremely angry and shout. I saw him in traditional war clothes, beating the war drum. I said in previous video the Turks is going to steamroll down Africa. I said he will stop at Botswana's borders. Draw a line from Botswana's border and go eastwards. You will see it is not far off from the border of Botswana. That region all lines up. If there are terrorists, the last thing you want is to have people covering their faces. This is exactly what terrorists love doing. It could be that this massacre the seer spoke about is hidden under the pretenses of some terrorists. We have to explore all possibilities and not rule anything out. The minute you become too rigid in your thinking about a situation is the minute your enemy sneaks up on you. It's possible the powers, the elites, the globalists use this ISIS thing to orchestrate an attack. They then step in to take over and take the Cape in the vacuum. I am not saying this will happen, but it's worth exploring the ways this will come about. The attacks the seer spoke about are the same attacks as what happened to the Canadians and the colonial Americans, which caused the globalists to rush in and take control of the situation. What the colonists and Canadians did not know is that the globalists were supplying the Indians with the weapons to perform those attacks, to step in. Put another way, the Americans trained the Afghanis who later become terrorists and led to the US sending in the army. You must realize something. The central bankers, the globalists, are the ones behind the global terror campaign, whether it is communism or the Islamic threat and invasion of Europe. I have no doubt this is no different. Such strict lockdowns for me spell foreign boots on the ground. Where or how this fits into the attacks in Europe is to be seen. We see Turkey turning Hagia Sophia, the Constantinople church, into a mosque now after it was a museum for over a century and place for tourists. I said in the dream I saw attacks go off in Europe, and the words came to me, Turkey. Turkey was behind those attacks. All these events are linked. The Portuguese, Europeans arriving here, the American sting is fighting a revolution in the Northern Territory, the chains coming undone in March 2020, ISIS on our borders, Turkey in Libya. The coming attacks in Europe, the collapse of the mainstream media, and then the focus on South Africa. I do not know when this will all happen. While this all happens, a new Boer Republic government will be formed. We will see this take place within this process. Again, I repeat, I do not believe this strict lockdown is for a virus, but more for ISIS, and ISIS is nothing but a smokescreen to get foreign boots on the ground for the country splitting up. Something happens now that is going to be spoken about for the next 5 years. ISIS has got a government paranoid, and in this paranoia they're setting the stage where the American media collapse will tie into the focus and how the government is running the country. Their greed has led them to fall for the trap. The siren was sound, they ran after robbing the house, and through their fear they have been caught out. The spotlight will shine on them shortly. In regards to Christianity being removed from the UK, during the dream I saw this occur before the missile hit Trafalgar Square, and the seer's vision appeared to me in a scroll. Christian law will be scrapped. The two doves still move but were put in a museum. I saw Christianity was replaced by a new religion. Only after this lockdown has it all made sense and is making sense. The two doves were in the Magna Carta and common law. Those two documents were created once the Jews were kicked out of England the first time. Due to usually the documents were created. They form the bedrock of the West's democracies. Those two laws documents based off of Christianity will be shelved and replaced. The Noahide laws will replace them. This will happen throughout all the lands. This is why those birds were in the tree. All the nations went along with it, but the ducks representing South Africa made a noise about it and flew out. The Noahide laws are about to be implemented in the UK and Christianity will be shelved. It all forms part of the same dream about the chains coming undone for the nation and the threat coming to the UK. The symbol for the Noahide laws are the rainbow, and South Africa ironically was the first rainbow nation. I find it ironic that the seer saw this attack by Russia. Today Russia is one of the fastest growing Christian nations. Christianity is growing once again in Russia, and they're building the most churches out of all the nations on earth. And I find it ironic I saw the UK attacked by Russia like the seer, but from what I saw, the UK would be struck by Russia due to them changing the religion. They will scrap Christianity, and it is amazing a Christian Russia now revived, who was attacked by the internationalist bankers in America and Britain and had Marxism forced onto her from the West to become Christian, and lands up attacking once former Christian countries. How ironic. Please pray for the nation. Please rescue us once more, Yahweh, and may we and our future generations always praise your name, and may we praise Yeshua from the Cape to the equator. Be safe. May the Lord bless and protect you and your families during this dark period. Amen.